That's how we own it.
What's up, family? I'm your girl, Tamika D. Mallory.
And it's your boy, Mysonne, the General.
And we're your hosts of Street Politicians, the place where the streets and politics meet. What's going on, Mice?
You know, man, we just coming back from Thanksgiving, you know.
Thanksgiving was beautiful.
It was. Thanksgiving was beautiful. My mama cooked beautiful food. My sister actually cooked, you know, and they throw down. So that was a good thing.
Yeah, that's why Thanksgiving was great for me, because my parents are alive and well. You know, and that meant a lot to be there with them. My aunt, not only did she cooked half of the meal. I can't say I cooked the other half, which I can, but I didn't, because I purchased it from the great cooks at Sylvia's restaurant in Harlem. Shout out to Sylvia's. This time I didn't have to cook anything. Actually, I was in the process of making dressing, as we call it. Some folks call it stuffing, but we call it dressing. And I was in the process of making that. And my cousin, who came from out of town, she started doing that. So I didn't have to burn one pot this year. So that's the other reason why Thanksgiving was good. But my aunt, not only did she cook all half of the meal and all the desserts, she also cleaned the entire kitchen afterwards, put all the food away. And for people who are in the kitchen for Thanksgiving, you probably would never understand, because you probably have never been in the kitchen for Thanksgiving. You don't know how serious the cleanup is.
I watched my mother and sister and everybody else and people clean up. I've seen it. You know, I understand. I just don't try not to participate.
Yeah, you try not to, we know. But anyway, so it was good. A lot of family, a lot of love. My child was here with his dog, which is my grand dog, Louie. And I got a chance to spend a little bit of time with them. So, hey, for me, Thanksgiving was great. I think I spent the day on Friday sleeping. I didn't have anything to really do. So I was just kind of free. So I slept on Friday. And then Saturday, I went outside to the stores to see what the deals were all about. And I want everybody out there in street politicians land to know there's no sale. It's just not true. It's a farce. Don't believe it. There's no sale. I left the store because things were so expensive that I was like, yeah, I can't do it.
The thing is that the stuff that you like, Tamika, they don't never go on sale.
You always
That's
have
what
to
it is.
say about me. That's not
the reality.
True.
You don't shop at the places where they give the sales. You're not shopping in the place where they got the 50% off sales. You like high-end things, and there's never a sale for high-end. It's just
they sent me an email and a text message that didn't say 50%. They said things were 70%.
Yeah, the things that you would never buy.
Listen, you don't know that. How do you know?
You knew that when you went there. When you walked into that store, was the stuff that you wanted on sale?
No, it's not even. No, it was on sale. No, it was on sale. Excuse me. It was on sale. The problem is that inflation is real. So things are on sale. It was definitely marked down and all of that. But if you're starting with a sweater, like all of a sudden, I don't know what happened, but sweaters are $1,000. Sweaters, $500, $700. Like sometimes I find myself online. I'm like, okay, let me go see what's out there. Obviously the algorithm on our social media, it picks up what we're interested in. So, it's constantly, every day, the baddest shit ever is popping up on my phone. So I'm sitting there going through, and I noticed that every time I click something that I like, it's just way more expensive than it was before. Like a sweater can be, a sweater that I would say maybe in the past it was $300, which would have been good. Then it's on sale 50% or whatever. You get it for $200, and it'd be a real nice sweater. Now these same things is $700, $800, $900. Like it's inflation for real.
Yeah, it's just a lot, man. And I'm a sneaker person, so sneakers have just gotten out of control. Like every pair of sneakers is $400 and $500, and it's retro sneakers, and it's all of them are just all the way out of control. So yes.
Retro means that it's a sneaker that used to be and it came back?
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
So
Well,
they
that
got
brings,
limited.
that's
Yeah, they
my
got
thought.
limited amount.
Go ahead. I'm
No,
sorry.
I said they got limited amounts. So when they bring them back, they charging you triple what they used to be. So
Yeah, I mean, that's really my thought process, my thought of the day today. Because I literally sat and thought about how expensive things are. And I'm thinking to myself, how are people gonna make it? Like, I just don't know. I have several streams of income, such as you, several streams of income to survive. I have to speak, consult. I have my Until Freedom salary. I have other important projects and things that I'm involved in. Some of them have not even bared any fruit yet. I've actually put money in, but nonetheless, I have different things, several different pockets of money. And still, it's, obviously, thank God, thank you, please, I'm not struggling, but I can't imagine what is happening to a family that is just, really making it with two basic incomes. It's something has to give. Because when last week, we were talking about the smash and grab thing, right? Or grab and smash, or smash and grab. We were talking about that last week. And I took some time to reflect on my privilege, because even though I have not wavered in my opinion remains the same, that you must be out of your mind if you think it's a good idea to go into people's store downtown, as they say, down there with the white folks, stealing their stuff, knowing that they're going to find a way to catch one, and then one is going to tell on two, and then two will tell on four, and then all of y'all be in trouble. Somehow or another, they're going to end up putting some type of felony or something else on you, because as has been said, if it's over a certain amount of money, you get a felony and something else, and maybe, resisting arrest, and God forbid you knock somebody over, of a patron and or a worker, and now there's an assault situation. So they're gonna keep on getting off, and you might have just thought you was going out to have a good time, right? But checking my privilege, I'm thinking to myself, wow, if what you're saying is correct, that retro sneakers, $500 and $600, if also the clothes, as expensive as it is, and gas prices in general have caused the cost of groceries are up, everything is up. It's the most expensive ever. I don't know how people are going to make it. I really just do not know how they're going to make it.
It's tough. It's really tough. I mean, financial times, think about it, like you said, by the grace of God, we're able to be able to pay our bills and live comfortably to the point where we're not starving every day, and we don't have to smash and grab. But when you look at the times, and that's why I tell people, like, I'm glad you checked your privilege, because a lot of people look at crime, and they look at people who commit crime as just evil individuals. And I remember a time when I was in the streets committing crime. It was out of a sense of desperation. And there's a lot of people who just don't have it. I was walking to the meter. My car was walking. I was walking early in the morning to take my kids to school. And a guy was just checking the meters for change. Like, just understand, like, he was just walking by, he was checking all the meters to see if somebody left change. And it just gave me a reality. Like, some people really just don't have it. There are a lot of people who are really in dire needs, especially after this pandemic. A lot of people don't know how to manage money, didn't have money, lost their jobs. And now that these streets is drying up, it ain't no PPP, it ain't no, you getting severance checks and pay and back pay. It ain't none of that. People is back to think, and people are getting strong arm robbed. So when you look at this smash and grab, they following people home, they jumping in your car, they trying to, like, it's serious.
No, did you see, there's a video online now where I think it was in California, two guys walked over to some people. You see the guy with the gun in his hand. They're sitting there at dinner
in a full restaurant.
Yes. And the sad part about it is, like, I feel like for me personally, one, a lot of when I'm out, obviously people are like, oh, how you doing or whatever. So I'm already prone to folks coming close to me. And I know that because they may want to take a picture, they might want to tell me what they think about an issue or what they saw on Fox News. Sometimes I had white people walk up to me and say, you know, I appreciate what you do, but, and they give me all their reasons for why, you know, we're wrong.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have, you know, people who support me and, you know, and just people who are just like, oh, you know what, I've seen you before, is your name, whatever. So they're already close to me. So I have started now, first I started off pulling my sleeve down over my jewelry, right? I started with that. Then I started not wearing certain things at all, just because I'm out by myself sometimes and I really don't know. I didn't have that feeling before, even though I'm not saying crime has not always existed, because it certainly has. And people will get the drop on you, we know that. But I used to have a feel, and by the way, I don't feel like it's just Black folks. Like I could deal with just Black people, right? I'm used to going in the hood, seeing Black people, and there's a sense of respect. When you give respect even to the grimiest person, oftentimes when you give a certain level of respect, they respond with a certain level of respect. And it's kind of like, get out of my area, like, right? Like, you know, don't be going hanging out in these people's neighborhoods, flashing stuff and thinking, no, it's not cool. So, hey, how you doing? Get the hell on. You went to the corner store to get you a little groceries or whatever you're doing, you could go hurry up and move on. So we have those boundaries and that mutual respect. But I have literally been out, Mice, in the last few weeks, and there have been strange people of all backgrounds doing crazy things. White men running down the street, half dressed, screaming. I had a man jump like in my face. I've seen people have lost it. And it's some of it is financial, some of it is mental, but there's some serious problems. And I don't know who's responsible for dealing with it. I guess it's supposed to be the government, but I just think we are in real bad times. And I have not been willing to say that, but over these past few days, I realized that it's no way people can make it when milk is $8 and $9. That's just outrageous, especially if you're trying to drink oat milk or something where you're not trying to just go buy regular whole milk. Because on one hand, we are learning that we need to take better care of ourselves. But on the other hand, in order to live and to eat properly and drink what's the alkaline water, be on an alkaline diet, it does cost money. Some people will tell you it's not that expensive, and perhaps, but I don't know about you, but when I go to Whole Foods, it's serious in Whole Foods.
It's serious, man. Like the times are just really bad, man. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I was really just sitting here thinking about it. And, you know, I frequent the hood, you know, I'm still in tune with the hood. So I go through the hood every day and just listening to stories, like everybody's trying to get a job, trying to figure this out. They coming to me like, yo, you got anything? I need this, I need that. And it's like really bad, like really bad out there, man.
Yeah, it is. So, you know, I guess it means that it's incumbent upon us to figure out how we help our people, right? Because other communities, there will be programs, services, and access to everything so that they can get themselves together as, you know, think that as they start to shake it out, if you will, there'll be more mental health support where they can walk up and get help. The drug addiction and all of those things, right? A lot of people got hooked on things they never even used before because during the pandemic, right, they sat in the house or sat wherever and started to try to compensate for the pain of not being out, of losing a loved one, of the fear of COVID and all of these things. And so, you know, it's incumbent upon us to figure out ways. Each one of us in our own way do what we can, right? So for me, if I'm out in the street and it's a safe situation, which is oftentimes, even when it's and a person who is houseless or going through something asks me for money, where I used to give $2 or the change in my pocket, I now am giving 20, right?
Yeah,
I'm
I've
now
been giving
giving
that like to
20.
$10 and $20.
Yeah,
I'm trying to, people come up to me on the side, and because I just want to be able to play my part, but it's just really bad. And you can't do it, but you can't do it to everyone.
that's right.
So
That's it. So you can't do it to everyone, right? Which means we need a larger solution, especially to help deal with our young people. So I think that for me is my 2022 calling, is what are we going to be doing to try to help these young people, because something's wrong.
100% right.
So we're getting into this show today. We've got an interesting panel of folks that are coming on. It's the women against Mysonne. Listen, in the holiday seasons are rough. It's tough for a lot of people pushing through the holidays, without their loved ones or people they want to be with, or without finding that special person. And I think as it comes to January every year, I say to myself that last January, I said this was going to be the year I'm going to go on dates, I'm going to do the thing, and I don't do it because, I have many reasons. And I'm sure that in this conversation, it will still be that I won't be doing it for 2022. So, and that's a shame that I'm starting off in the deficit, but I just already know, I can feel the energy of this panel discussion.
The bottom line is this, Tamika, just open your mind to the reality of relationship and not the fantasy. Once y'all get over the fantasy of relationship.
And that's exactly why I'm going to be single, because the reality, right, is not something that I want to deal with.
But look, we got a good panel.
Let's bring them on.
Two dating experts. We got a dating expert rather, and we got somebody who's been dating. And then we have someone who's very intriguing to me. We have someone who is invested, engaged in a polyamorous relationship. I've been
polyamorous. I got to get that right, because
polyamorous. That's when there's more than one, dating. And this dynamic is, I think, it's a woman, and she has a man who has another woman. So, and she's gonna break that down too. So
I think she's a man. She's a woman who has two men. No. Anyway, we're gonna find out.
Okay, we see. I hope, because I don't know what to do. We'll see.
See, imbalance. Anyway, so everyone, so this is basically my show, because we decided, my son and I, that for 2022, I'm really going to figure out what's wrong with my life and why I cannot get married and find a husband and do all the things that I need to do, because it's just very difficult, as I'm sure you all know. And so one of the things that we've been exploring in our conversations while we're all traveling, there's 4 of us that travel together all the time. And each person has different situations. So, but I'm the one that's always like the little baby that they have to try to nurture in terms of my little feelings. And so I've been exploring all types of things, and people have been telling me I should date online, which I probably will never do. But I'm so glad that we got an opportunity to come together today to talk about this, because there are many different ways to go about skinning one cat, as they say. And my son seems to be very excited about this show today, because he gets the chance to try to say everything that I think about relationships is wrong. So we have been joined by 3 incredible guests. And I want to introduce them all to you. We decided to do a panel because it takes a lot of different perspectives to deal with this issue. First, we have Tera Stidum, who is a dating coach, and the name of her company is She Dates Savvy. She Dates Savvy. I need to date savvy, so this is actually important. She helps smart professional women to date online. So that's going to be exciting. And then we have Tori Owens, who is the CEO of Canna Luxe, which obviously is a company that is engaged in the cannabis areas. We're going to learn how do we date online and then also get our bag. We'll talk about that. But she's also in a polyamorous, I've been told to say it properly, relationship. And there's a lot of questions that we have about that, because maybe that's the way for me. We never know. And then there is my sister, my Gossy Posse sister, someone who I've known for a real long time. And Street Politicians, we bring our friends on every week because we have so many friends doing so many incredible things. And so LaToya Shambo is one of our friends. She's the CEO and founder of Black Girl Digital, but she is also, and for today's purposes, dating online. So let's get into this panel. Mysonne, you can take it away because you don't know what you're talking about anyway. So I'm gonna get all.
I'm just really just interested. I mean, you know, I've been hearing about this dating online. I know I have a couple of friends, females, and they've been dating online, and they come back to me with stories. It's not really working, and I'm confused how they thought it was going to work. I couldn't even see those things happening. So first, I want to know, what is the process that women go about dating online? How do you pick a guy? Like, I'm so traditional and conventional and old school, and you meet somebody or there's a vibe that I wouldn't even understand. So what is the process that you go about dating online?
Yeah, let's start with Tera.
So Mysonne, first of all, I still want people to do the traditional thing. If you can get out there and meet people face to face, do it. But I started my company because, first of all, I was my first client. Okay, so we'll start there. Okay. I have a 20+ year career in TV. If you know anything about production, it takes up a lot of your time and a lot of your life. And so for me, it was out of convenience. It was not because I couldn't go into a room, make eye contact with a guy and say like, hey, what's going on? How are you? I wasn't afraid to do that. I just didn't have time. And so for a lot of people, that's why they go online. Okay. Now the pandemic, and we'll talk about that later, that changed the whole dating game, right? Because people weren't going out. But it's as simple as going to a site, putting a picture up, creating a profile, meaning you answer the questions that they ask, and then engaging with people on the platform. The problem is most people go on the wrong sites. They go on the wrong site. So it's like going to the grocery store looking for a pair of red bottoms. They don't sell those there. You're never going to get that. So if I was to talk to your friends and they told me what sites they're on, I'd be like, yeah, that's why it didn't work out. So that's the quick and easy of online dating.
So LaToya,
you know I'm gonna ask what site you've been on, LaToya.
That's what I was gonna say. LaToya, are you on the right site?
Listen, it's ghetto out here, no matter what site you're on.
I beg to differ. I met my husband online.
I have been on Tinder. I have been on Bumble. I have been on Match. The only one I have not been on is League. It because I kind of was just like, all right, I need a break. I need a break. It's people lie. People lie
everywhere.
People
lie everywhere. If you met a guy at church, he very well may lie, right? True. He very well may lie. And I think a lot of people hold online dating to this higher standard. And I don't understand why. If Tamika fixed you up with someone and he turned out to not be the right one, you still gonna rock with her. She's still your girl. You're not gonna turn your back on her. But for whatever reason, people look at online dating and it's like, oh no, it's trash, it's ghetto. I know it can be. Now trust me, I know
because the pool doesn't change. That's the issue that I'm having. It's you see, you're kind of seeing the same. Like one guy, I'll delete the app and then I'll come back and then he'll call me. I see you back on the app. Sir, get off my line. Blocked. Like you're blocked.
That's what it is for me. I have a, because for me, right? I'm just gonna be honest with you. Being a man my whole life and being around certain caliber of men, right? And you know, being around certain calibers of men, different calibers of men, I just think that men who go online to date are weirdos. I like this for me. It's just in my mindset that I believe that 90%, it might be 1% that just, you know, are bored and they say, oh, let me just see what's going on here. But I think that 90% of the men that go on these dating apps are weirdos. I just can't see no man saying, I'm gonna just meet up with somebody. I'm gonna try to find somebody online. Let me see, because I just can't see it. So that's what it is. Like, I have this notion in my mind that the dudes on there is weirdos.
I have a different
are there some
perspective. I wouldn't say weirdos. I slightly agree with you. I wouldn't say weirdos, but I do feel like the men that date online, I like alpha men. And I feel like the men that date online are typically just not aggressive enough. You know, like I prefer the traditional dating. The man comes up to me, he courts me, you know, I love all of that interaction. And I like the aggression. So I don't think I've ever found an aggressive man or an alpha male that I've connected with online at all.
Okay, well, now, see, Tori, since you started talking, I'm so glad you stepped into the conversation.
Yes,
Does that mean that your poly relationship includes a man or two men or women? Like, what's the makeup here? What we working?
The makeup for my dynamic is one man and two women, but me and the other woman, we are not romantically with each other. Does that make sense?
Wait, 1 second. Hold on.
Oh, I like this. Okay, wait. So he's got two women? Oh.
Yes.
Yes.
Anyway,
Did
please.
he approach you with, did he already have the situation? Just, start from the beginning.
Yeah, we need to know.
Yeah.
My dynamic's really crazy though. So I'm just trying to make it short as possible. First of all, he's my high school sweetheart. We've known each other since I was 14 years old. So he knows me in and out. And a lot of people think that, oh, he must have convinced you for this type of, no, I was interested in this dynamic prior to me and him get back together. We haven't been together in, years. And I was interested in this dynamic, honestly, when I wanted to start a family. And my take on it is sometimes it's really selfish to really require everything that you need from a partner from one person. We're in this world now where it's like your partner's got to be your best friend, your counselor, your dad, your mom, your friend, your teammate. It's so many things and so much pressure that we put on one person. And it's like, well, when do they have time to be their own individual self? When do they have time to put themselves first and really be honest and truthful about their wants? And that's just really what had me interested in the whole lifestyle. I don't believe in putting all of my requirements that I need to be fulfilled in just one person.
And you don't think that they should put the same pressure on you as well?
Absolutely. Because I'm going to tell you now, sometimes I like to be left alone. And that's what it is. Am I right? Is it right for me to deny my partner? Because you know what, babe, today I don't want to talk. I want to be left alone, or I want to be, in my thoughts, or I want to go and do this, but this is not something I'm an Aries. So I like adventure. And I like to jump off planes and stuff. He don't really necessarily like that. Is it fair that I really got to force him to really do certain things that are kind of out of his character just because I want to do it? Yeah, he's going to do it because he loves me, but is it fair? I don't want to put pressures on my partner to make him feel like I have to do things, or I'm obligated to do things because I'm your partner.
So how does that work on the flip side though? Like, if you want to go and jump out the plane, do you go and find someone to jump out the plane with you? And is he okay with that?
Yeah.
Because he has the other side being fulfilled, but are you having the other side be fulfilled?
Before you answer that, sorry though.
He said absolutely.
Before you answer that, right? Because that's what I'm trying to understand from the one. First of all, to be clear, I am not against this concept at all, right? I'm not against it, right? At all.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to understand is, how does it benefit you? Because what I'm hearing is you saying there's two women, one man, and you're not sexually involved, romantically involved with this woman. So where is it? Who is going with you to jump off the plane when he's not going?
So when I meant romantically, I did mean sexually. I should have, specified that. As far as like with the other woman, there's a friendship, there's a bond, there might be things that he doesn't particularly like to do, but she does. or being able to just bond with a woman just in general over certain things. Like, I'm a mother and I'm actually pregnant now. And, you know, I like a woman just brings something different to a relationship. Like my best friend, sometimes I feel like we're soul sisters. You know what I'm saying? And so in this particular dynamic, it's not that I look for a woman to be sexual with, but I do like the bond and the connection and sharing certain responsibilities. And sometimes if me and him have a disagreement, you know, hearing a woman's perspective who's not biased, because let's be real, you can't call your mom, your sister, your friend. They're all going to be biased, more than likely, because they love you. They're your family, they're your friend, but you have that connection, that other partner who's able to look at it and say, you know, maybe you could have handled this a little differently, Tori, or maybe you could have handled this a little bit differently, Dom. You know, just it's just another view, but I'm definitely getting fulfilled in all of those areas, whether we're sexually together or not. And if we're being technical, my libido is not as high as his anyway. So pretty even there.
And I think for me, right, when I listen to these conversations, right, and I have conversations because I got a lot of female friends and they talk and they ask questions. And the thing for me is the conventional relationship isn't working. Like when you look at right now, when you look at the numbers of relationships, you look at the divorce rates, when you look at it, and it's based on infidelity. It's one of the highest rates of everything is infidelity. Women have an ideology that men are supposed to be with them and them only. And it is not working. The idea is really not working. And it's not because it's anything that's wrong with the woman or wrong with the man. Like I hear all these conversations, oh, men are just dogs. Maybe we're looking at it from a point of view that doesn't make sense. Maybe monogamy is not something that's a natural thing. I think there's something that we grow into. I think as men, right, we can move towards a space where that's a possibility as we get older, and, you know, as lions, we start to settle down to pasture and all these things. But the innate nature of a man is not to be monogamous. Like when a man decides to be monogamous, he sacrifices and he compromises, he fights against his natural self to be with a woman because he cares for that woman. He does a lot of things. And then when you make a mistake that goes slightly outside, you're called the worst thing in the world. I have this conversation with my friends all the time. You have a man and he's the best man for you. He pays your bills, he takes you out, you hang out, you enjoy his company, he does all these things. He cheats on you. He's a dog, you get rid of him. You have a friend, right, that does less than that. She call, you talk to her once in a while, 2 times a week. She don't pay no bills, she don't do nothing. And y'all been friends for 50 years. And you say, this is the best friend I ever had in my life. But the man is a dog because he cheated one time, pays every bill, did everything, all this shit. And you'll throw that relationship completely to the trash. Absolutely. With the best friend, you'll be with for 50 and 60 years, and they haven't provided not even a morsel of what the relationship that you have with that man is. So if we think about it, in my thing, what I see really is that people just rather be friends. Like you'd rather just have a friend because the standard of a relationship is almost impossible to completely fulfill.
I want to touch on
it's not a realistic thing.
Go ahead.
When you said natural, that was a real like key word, right? And so like whenever I talk about polyamory with people, I like to kind of, because it gets touchy, because you don't want to talk about spirituality and religion because it gets really sticky when you talk about it on that level. So I always kind of like to just break it down to an animalistic level. And when you just think about numbers, right? Just logically speaking, when a man ejaculates, he is just ejaculating 1 million life forms per ejaculation. He can ejaculate multiple times a day, which essentially means he can impregnate multiple women a day until he stops ejaculating. Women, we can only give birth to 1 child within a 12-month calendar year. And if we're looking at sex, sex as itself to be the reason for that, or the purpose is to reproduce, those numbers don't even logically match up. They don't match up. You know, how can we really if a man was only supposed to be with 1 woman for the rest of his life, we don't get periods until 13 years old. We stop having them at 40. Who wants to be pregnant every year for the rest of their life? But if we're trying to populate and we're trying to grow and really make this a huge community, how are those numbers going to match up if he can only impregnate one woman for the rest of his life?
Well, I want Tara to jump back in here, but
Do
I
it.
know LaToya, you actually have to jump off. And so you may have a perspective on this. I think my opinion in response to what has been said, both Tori and Mysonne, is that I don't disagree that some of these things may be true, but it's the lie. It's not the actual act of having sex with someone or choosing a certain lifestyle. It's the lie. And it's also the fact that people, and so I appreciate your life, Tori, right? Because it's straight up, it's honest, it's out there. And I know that the response, because I've been in this conversation, not just with my son, but many people, and they say, well, because when we try to tell y'all, you can't handle it. And what I say as a response to that is, if you're going to be a man one time of the day, you need to be a man all day long, no matter what that means. Even if that means the person leaves you, even if it means that the person says, well, I'm not going to deal with it, whatever it is, you can't be selfish enough to say, just because you couldn't handle it, my standards as a man dropped down to where I started lying about what it is that I'm doing. That's my opinion. You got to put it on the table and say, this is who I am, period, and allow the other individual to make a decision of whether or not they can live with it or not. And if not, you've got to go find the people who are willing to fulfill that as whatever the standards are for your life. And
but you know what the thing is, the reality of the situation is, and I'm gonna let you look. No, I want you to say something to it, but this one thing is, mothers aren't teaching that to their sons, right? Mothers are saying, this is how you're supposed to be. You're supposed to get you a woman. You're supposed to be a good husband. Their mothers get rid of their father for cheating. These are things that men have watched throughout history. They haven't seen the positivity of them being honest in this regard. They haven't seen any of these things. When you come to a young boy that's 17, 18, or 19, and he's starting to date and all these things, and he wants to date another girl, and his mother like, yo, you need to be good to that girl. Don't be out there. Don't be a cheater like your father, and all those things. That's not the mentality that a man gets. It's not real men. It's not nobody sitting down with these young boys and saying, listen, brother, you need to be very honest. You can date whoever you want. If you want to do all these are not conversations that are being had with men. I've been a man my whole life. These are not conversations that are being had with young. I've had these conversations with my young brothers, and the way that they move in that manner, and they have a lot of problems with especially young women because they say, oh, they're disrespectful, but they're very honest in what it is that they want. They say, this is how I want to live my life. I'm dating, I'm seeing this one. And I hear a lot of times from women that your brothers are disrespectful. They don't care about women and all of these things. And there's a narrative being paid. So a lot of people are not strong enough to deal with that narrative. A lot of men don't want to be seen as this individual. They don't want to be talked about in a negative way. They don't have the strength to be, seen. They want to be seen in the light as something that's positive. So until we start trading the narrative, just like women sexuality, right? When women decide they want to have sex with a lot of women, and they say a lot of men or whatever, they're seen as whores and all these things. So it's not that they don't want to do it. Like you said, why are we being seen as? There has to be a change in narrative on both spectrums for us to get to what we're talking about.
Let's let Tara go, and then we can come back to that.
When we talk about changing the narrative, conversations like this are a start, right? Because first of all, we don't normally see people who look like Tori who say this is their lifestyle, right? When we hear about a polyamorous lifestyle, it's usually others. It is not us. So first of all, her standing up and saying, hey, this is who I am. Here are my needs, my expectations, and what I am accepting of in my relationship. So this starts that. But to kind of go back to what you were talking about, my son, when you talked about friends versus how you treat a man, I think it boils down to expectations. I don't expect my girl to be monogamous with me. If I'm in a relationship with someone,
the concept doesn't even make sense. I'm just saying, obviously, when you walk, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I said this to him, so I'm glad that you were saying it. When I walk into a job that is at the Dollar Tree store, right? And I am a cashier, there's going to be a certain expectation. But if I go down to Saks Fifth Avenue and get a job as a manager, there is a higher expectation from me. And so when you're in a relationship and this is your friend and y'all are not having sex or having any emotional connection, you're not going to have the same.
But that's not really true. Friends have emotional connections because
No, not
my
like
best
that.
friend can
those
call
are
me in the middle of the night and I'm gonna jump up the same way I'm gonna call for my wife.
Not the same thing.
I know it's not the same thing to you.
But there's a grace that comes with friendships. And you to your point, in relationships, no, you don't always get that.
You don't give a
again,
grace, and that's the problem. There's no grace.
I acknowledge it. I acknowledge it is completely a problem. It is an issue because everyday monogamy is a choice. Every day I commit to being faithful to my husband, right? He commits to being faithful to me. So that's the biggest thing that we have to acknowledge. So when we talk about the whole idea and construct of monogamy, is it right or is it, if it works for you? If it works for you, but here's where I want to make sure, and this is kind of to Tamika's point, not everyone is going to keep it 100. They're not going to say, look, I am starting to get feelings for someone else, or I'm thinking it's time to move on. People don't communicate enough, right? People don't communicate enough. I'm a girl who cuts bait when it's time to go, right? And so in past relationships, cheating for me wouldn't be a choice because guess what? I'm gonna leave before I have to get there. So I'm a communicator. I don't mind communicating with you and saying, you know what, my son, we good, but this is not what I need. I need more to feel fulfilled. I need a different type of person, whatever it is. And so I think it boils down to the communication aspect, but we cannot expect that we're going to hold our friends to the same standard as we are the people that we're sleeping with. It's
what
just
I'm trying to tell you is, for me, and that's what the problem is, I think relationships don't establish friendship, right? I think relationships have expectations that aren't even realistic. If you're in a lifetime relationship with somebody, right? Relationship is the only thing that you're supposed to do for the rest of your life, right? Everything else changes. You decide your outfits change. You got a pair of sneakers you like. You decide next year, 2 weeks, you know, I'm gonna get another pair of sneakers. Doesn't mean that you don't like the pair of sneakers you got, but you decided you seen another pair of sneakers you like. For the rest of your life, you're supposed to be one person. That individual changes. The way that you communicate changes. The things you learn about yourself, the things you learn about life change. And you're supposed to be with this one person. And if this relationship doesn't evolve and you aren't able to say, hey, this has changed in me, right? And a lot of times when you grow into this relationship and you have these relationships, it's very hard to tell somebody that this has changed in you. Because you don't want to disappoint that individual. Nobody wants to disappoint somebody that they've obligated themselves to, that they've brought into this lifestyle. You don't want to disappoint them. So you caught in a quagmire. You're saying, you know what? How do I maintain this? How do I not maintain this? And we haven't been taught that.
So the answer is the lie.
From young men. From young men.
Listen, he ain't trying to hear us today.
No,
how much more hurtful is it?
We can't talk.
I'm giving you the answer though. I'm gonna tell you right now.
My son.
From young men, we were taught by older men. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. We weren't taught. They weren't having the conversation with us. They was like, a man gonna be a man.
But that's not everyone. I have a husband who was taught by men, when you done with a woman, if that's not what you want, move on. Like you don't.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. The average.
And we have a son that we're raising the same way. So it starts with. Go ahead.
It's not the average conversation with men, because I had to learn throughout history, throughout my own trials and tribulations. So now I instill that in my younger brothers and my son. I have real conversations with them. When I have conversations with young girls that come to me, I have real conversations about realism of life and what's realistic expectations. I don't just say, yo, because you're my cousin or you're my sister, that's gonna be this way and you should do this. No, you're going to put up with something in a relationship. You just got to figure out who you're going to do it with, how you want to deal with it. There are involved, things change every day. And it's not realistic for me. When you look at most relationships that have lasted, the sense of time, 30, 40 years, they went through periods of infidelity. They went through periods of breakup. They went through periods of transformation to where some of them didn't even like each other for years. They didn't even want to talk to each other for years. They separated for years. There are periods of times as individuals we change. And to have an expectation that one person is going to completely satisfy you for the rest of your life, I don't know if it's realistic. unless that relationship evolves into something else, unless you and that individual evolve and start to make different dynamics of that relationship. I just don't know. Forever is a long
it's a
time.
choice.
Because I'm thinking about I'm thinking about 2 years ago how I thought.
Please let the guest speak.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's all good. It is absolutely a choice. Am I the same woman I was 7 years ago when I met my husband? No. Is he the same man? No. Do we choose daily to relearn one another to stay committed? Yes. Right. So I think it's based on who those people are. There are some people out there who are absolutely not ever going to get down with the concept of monogamy just because they don't have to. Right. We're talking about choices. They don't have to. They can say, oh no, I choose to sleep with this person, with that person, to be with this person, not commit or whatever. But there are others who do choose to be. So I don't want to look at it like a right or wrong. I think there are, when we think about the deeper reasons why people aren't monogamous, there's so much trauma, so much unhealed trauma walking around with individuals, right? So when you talk about a man saying, oh, well, all I ever heard growing up was a man was going to be a man. It doesn't make it right that was all he heard, right? So if he's never seen a positive relationship, yeah, all he may know is I'm going to dip off with this woman, and with this woman. So I think the conversation starts with that. What have we learned? Who are when we come into relationships? Like, who are you? What is that person's history? I dated someone who didn't believe in marriage. My parents been married 50 plus years. That wasn't going to work for me because I saw a marriage. I saw a union that lasted the test of time. And so when you tell me, oh, I don't believe in it because it's just a piece of paper and I know it is so much more, you're not my person, right?
So Tori, are you married?
No, I'm completely against signing the paper, quite honestly. I look at marriage a lot differently than that. I feel like I'm all for the union, and I feel like that union is between me, my partner, and God. I just personally don't. I don't feel I'm not 100% behind involving a third party or another party just for financial gain into my union, and that's just my thought process. And it could go back to what she said about trauma. I've just seen some really nasty things, happen with marriage and divorces and money and all of those things. And I'm just not for it. I can't tell myself that I'm comfortable with, like we talked about, like what my son talked about us evolving. I may evolve in 5 years to where now this relationship, this marriage is this union or whatever is not working the way that it was. I don't think it's fair that a Caucasian middle-aged man has the power to tell me half of everything that you have needs to go to this person. Half of everything that you built and deciding and making those decisions for me about what happens with my life and my children. That's something that I would like to keep between me and my partner and me and my union. So I'm definitely not for signing the paper per se, but I am definitely for a union for sure.
And what state are you? And here's the thing, I just want to play, I don't want to say devil's advocate, but I'm just going to play the other side of the coin. What state are you in?
I'm in Texas right now.
Oh, girl, listen, common law state. How long y'all been together?
Well, I actually just moved here 3 months ago. And like I said, we've been on and off for the past 15 years.
Y'all gonna live together and have mail at the same house?
Well, because I'm pregnant now, yeah, that happened a little quicker.
I'm just saying, because in the state of Texas, it doesn't even matter. He becomes your common law husband after a certain period. So I hear what you're saying. I'm not in any way trying to discount or discredit what you feel and believe.
No, I feel you.
Not at all. But yeah, like in some states, it doesn't even matter if you legally go down to the court and get a piece of paper and stand before a judge or whatever.
And that's the problem. That's that no one should be able to should have that power. Do you get what I'm saying? No one should have that power in me and my relationship at all. I don't think it's right. I don't think it's fair at all. And anything that I do in my home is my business. You know what I mean? It's my business, and it shouldn't mean oh, because, in order to get approved for, I feel like it's just all about money. And it's, it shouldn't be, you can only get approved for this loan if you and your husband, make this certain amount of money, and it has to be, but like all of those things that come along with it, it's just, to me, it's just another way that they get to have their hands into my business. And I'm just not for it at all. Like, no.
So is what we're saying here, or that I think what I'm hearing is that just like the digital space now, right? Like with technology, people are dating online. A lot of what we're used to, and I agree. I'm not going to say that I think that people online are weirdos, but I understand sort of like the concept that I feel like I don't know what I'm meeting, right, at all on the internet. And most of the men that I know they're not really online like that anyway, especially not to go onto a dating app. But I also understand that just like jobs have moved to the internet, just like, school, online school, that sort of we've developed in society. Mm-hmm. So I guess when I'm listening to what my son is saying, I'm listening to you, Tori, I feel like is what I'm hearing, that relationships what we knew about relationships is now changing because the times are changing and ideals are changing.
Absolutely. If we want to, like, let's be kind of technical, like, realistic about some things. And like a lot of people like to compare themselves to our grandparents and our great-grandparents. My grandmother, she was the most angel on earth, okay, when she was alive. Only been with one man, which was my grandfather, her entire life. Never cheated on him, never did anything. Of course he did. And she took care of that home. She did everything by the book a woman was supposed to do. Even though it still didn't stop my grandfather from going down doing what he was doing, having another kid or whatever the case may be. She did her part. The thing about it is, when we talking about 70, 80 years ago, when the cost of living was a fraction of what it is. I'm living in a 2-bedroom apartment right now. That's over $1,500 a month. That was not the case 80 years ago. Unfortunately, it's a little bit more. It's like when the cost of living kept going up, expectations kept going up, but they still was trying to, spoon feed our Black men or our men, period, on how to get those same opportunities. Like, okay, with the cost of living is going up, I need more money. I need more income. Black men still not making on average the amount, the same amount of money as our other parts. They're just not. So we're looking at 80 years ago when a man was able to financially take care of a household by himself without his woman working. It was a lot easier than it was compared to now, 2021. Unfortunately, the way that life is now, you do kind of need more than one, income in the household majority of the time. And if I'm a woman and I'm not saying I'm in there and I gotta pay the rent and all the other bills. Of course, he's still gonna do all that, but there still needs to be some type of financial, input from the woman, period, in 2021 now. I don't want to do that and be the only person cooking and be the only person cleaning and being the only one taking care of the kids, washing the clothes. Women these days are stressed. They are stressed out. They are mentally unstable. And that's just what it is. I listen to a lot of women these days and they are depressed. They feel like they are not meeting their mark because they're not their grandmothers. They're not meeting the mark that their great and grandmothers were making. And so they feel like they're not a woman. You know what I'm saying? They feel like they're less than. And it's like, I don't want all that pressure. I don't want all that pressure for that. If I know that I like to work, actually, I like to contribute and do these certain things. So I shouldn't be looked at as less of a woman because I want to share some of those responsibilities across the board.
I agree. I just think for me, just when I think about relationships, right, I have a lot of conversations with people about relationships, especially a lot of elders. And the narrative that's being painted, that everything, when you look at relationships and they say, I've been together 50 years, and this whole narrative that everything was good and nobody it's not realistic. Like, a lot of them been together and got 2 and 3 kids with other people. There's been so much stuff that's been taken out of the 50 years that we just look at that and say it can be done, and it's not being told in the proper perspective, right? And a lot of, and like she said, there was a different mentality before. Like there was mentality. Women were saying, my husband is my husband. I'm gonna be here. He gonna do this. Like when I used to have conversations with my grandfather, to be honest, I've never seen a man cheat. Like I've never seen my father cheat on my mother. That was never a thing. My mother to this day will tell you that she never saw my father cheat. Right? I never see my grandfather cheat on my grandmother. But me and my grandfather would have conversations. And he would be like, a man gonna be a man. You just gotta do it. When my grandfather came home every night, he paid all the bills. He took care of my grandmother, whatever she need. And what he did on his weekends, when he was out all day, I don't know what he did. He would take me to work with him sometimes. When he was hanging out, my grandmother didn't call him. We didn't have cell phones back then. She didn't know.
Exactly.
He came home.
Social media wasn't involved.
It wasn't that. He came home. On his weekends, that was his time. He 9 to 5, he came home, and his weekends he hung out with his friends or whatever he did. He came. She said, "A man gonna be a man. Long as he do this." Is my grandmother told me, as a woman, and they were together for over 30 plus years before they both passed away, like 6 months after each other. And they carried on. So and throughout history, the relationships that I know, that's what's happened. It's not this quote unquote we live happily ever after. I say all the time, women want the title of a wife. Women want the title of a relationship, but they don't want the reality of it. The reality that comes with you being with a certain caliber of man, you being with a man, you don't want to deal with the ups and downs of it. You just want the grass is green part, and it's not realistic. And when you have conversations with men, which I do all the time, they're lying to women, trying to make them believe certain things because they don't want them to know certain things, or they telling the truth that, it's not realistic. So I'm just trying to figure out, where do we get to a space where men are able to sit down and we can really talk about what relationships that are going to be fruitful, that are going to be both, everybody's going to agree upon, everybody's going to come to a space of understanding each other, the nature of a man, nature of a woman, the things that we require, things that we require, and we're going to do it right without every conversation is men are dogs. Oh, he cheated. Every day we find out the best relationships that we thought was the best relationship in the world. We come on TV and we find out, oh, he was cheating on her. Oh, this one was cheating on her. We keep hearing the same narrative over and over and over. So when do we going to say, okay, these are just not bad men? We talk about
Mysonne,
King,
not
we talk
all
about
men
the best
are
men in history.
Not all men
Every
are
one of
dogs.
them have
I don't believe that. Like I am not a woman, even though I work with women and help them date in a very different space. I don't believe that. I don't believe that all men are cheaters. I don't believe that men are dogs. I have never said that. And I'm not saying that you said that, but I'm just letting you know there are women out there who do not believe that. Okay. Secondly, to your point about when are we going to have these conversations and when can a man just be honest, it's about communicating from the jump. Because if you are to look at your friends and you say, okay, so you met girl A, maybe he met her at a bar, right? We'll take online dating out of it. He met her at a bar. She's cute. She's nice. She's lovely. He is going to, because he wants something from her, he's going to tell her everything she wants to hear, right? When he knows sincerely and in his heart, he's not really trying to be in a relationship. He's not trying to settle down. He's not in a place where he is even ready for a relationship. But because he wants what he wants, he's going to spit game and give her whatever she wants to hear. So it starts there. Why can't he communicate it? Look, I'm not in a place to actually give you a relationship. I think you're fine. I think you're hot. If you're down with it, because surprisingly, there are women who be like, hey, I'm down with it. That's cool. Thank you for honoring my feelings enough to tell me what it is you think and what it is you want, versus him lying. It's literally, you ain't got to lie, Craig. Like, it boils down to that. Like, you don't have to lie. You'll be so surprised at how many women out there are able to handle those kind of conversations, because at least you gave me a choice. Cheating removes my choices.
Exactly.
If you cheat on me, you remove my choices. So I just want you to know that there are women who think very progressively when it comes to relationships and dating. Like, it's not that's so young, like all men are cheating. No, they're not. All men are dogs. No. If you look statistically, women probably cheat more than men.
Agree.
Right? We cheat, we just do it differently. We don't get caught. We don't go blasting and talking to our homegirls at the beauty shop about, oh, I was cheating with it. No, it's just a different kind of way. It's a different way that it's done.
I think there are a lot of things that unfortunately we all we have ideals that are just not true, right? About what women think or what men are going to do and what they're not going to do. And I always say to my son, we should stop saying women don't like this, that, and the third, or men are going to do, because it's not true that all of anybody.
It's a generalization.
Anything. Yeah. Exactly. It's that there are some women who can't handle the truth. There are some men who lie rather than telling the truth. And yeah, I think you made one point, Mike, that I think is true, that women will say he's a dog or whatever because they see how a young man is sleeping with this one or that one and has lots of relationships. But I submit in this conversation that that's not actually the problem. The problem isn't that the man has multiple women. Excuse me for not, oftentimes when I'm trying to think through what I'm saying, I want to make sure that it's being stated properly. So excuse my all over the place. I don't think it's that. I think if you talk to those women and you listen to the backstories of the things that these younger men who my son may be talking to and other men are counseling them about a different way to do it, they're doing a bunch of other bullshit, right? There's a bunch of lies and just just nasty things that these men are also doing that's mixed up in this whole idea that I'm not trying to just be with one woman. And I think if we're honest about it and you peel back the layers of their behavior, the immaturity, all the things that go along with it, you will find that the problem is not the multiple women. It's the way in which people are actually going about living and operating in their truth and in their not so true.
Yeah,
I totally agree with that.
Because everything they do is probably raggedy. Yeah,
it's raggedy. It's raggedy. It's raggedy the way they speak to women, the way that they, just certain things that they're doing. It hurts people's feelings. So the issue is not so much that we need to be open enough where we can see other people. The problem comes down to how you go about operating in that space. And I think that's what I think. Now, I don't know all of the details of the relation or the people that my son knows or that your relationship, Tori, or whatever. I can't speak to it because I don't know. But I would imagine, just based upon my knowledge of guys who do have multiple women, that what often happens is the benefits of what they can get from a woman from lying about whether they are in a monogamous relationship mean more to their narcissism than for them to be able to sit down and say, because I am now telling you that I am seeing other people, you may not be available all the time. You may not financially help or support or do things. You may not be working as hard for me. You may be, things are going to change. And because many people want to maintain the benefits of the relationship, they will lie so that they don't lose anything because they are unable to commit fully on the other side. And I think for most women, like for me, that would be a problem for me. If we're going to be honest about it, be 100% honest, and then understand that I now can make choices that don't necessarily benefit you as much as they did in the past.
Exactly. There is two things that you said that I think are so important for that people should take away. And I totally agree with it. It's, on this side of the spectrum is like you just said, the man has to be completely honest because it's about giving and taking away that choice from that woman, right? And then on the flip side about it, some women having that thought process, oh, men are dogs, like you said, it's not about the multiple women. It's it's the other stuff that come along with it. Is exactly what you said. My grandmother used to always tell me this: when a woman is happy, when you fulfilling everything, all the mother nicks, she's really not interested in caring about going through your phone. Well, of course, there wasn't a phone back then, but I'm translating it into now time.
Today's time.
We're not going through your phone. I'm not checking your emails and doing all that. I don't have the time. I'm too busy and happy in La La Land that I really don't have the time or interest to even want to look for something that could mess up my happy. You get what I'm saying? But when you a man and you ain't, your woman ain't even happy because you ain't doing A, B, and C. Now she got more time on her hands and she's looking at, okay, well, you ain't even doing A, B, and C. So how dare you even have the audacity to want to have a relationship or do anything with another woman? That makes no sense to me. Make sure I'm good over here. And then I don't care what you're doing. I'm not questioning that. I don't care. I'm happy over here. Bills is paid. Children are happy. You know, the home is being fruitful. Everything's good. So that both of those things that you said, I think are two important things on why relationships are going the way that they are right now.
This conversation made me feel like I'm gonna continue to be single. So I'm thinking,
First of all, I want to go on record and say, are there some weird people out there in the dating space? Yes. Are some of them online? Absolutely. Are there nice, normal, good people out there looking for relationships who maybe are not going out to the clubs, not going to the social events, don't have time? Maybe they're building their business. So for them, it makes sense because I can go grocery shopping for a mate on my phone. Yes. So I don't want you to just throw the whole dating concept away, especially not the online, because I know this conversation has gone super duper deep.
Mm-hmm.
But I've coached ladies who've gotten married to men that they met online.
Well, I have two cousins. Met their husbands online, and one of them is happy. The other one, is questionable, but
okay. So we 50-50. So yeah, so that's the thing. It's like, just know, and I mean, we can get down to the mirror. You might meet what you actually are out there in those dating streets, whether it's online or whatever. But just not to give it the negative connotation of like, oh, everybody who goes online is a weirdo. I'm not a weirdo. My husband wasn't a weirdo. There are interesting people out there, but there are also good people who use it as a method to meet people that they would not ordinarily have interacted with. So that's my 2 cents on that.
I just wanted to say something. You said something, right? About, a lot of men some men get into relationships or meet women and they know they don't want to be in this relationship, but they want to tell them all these things. And that's a process. Those things happen. But there are also men who get in relationships and actually want something, right? Yeah. They actually think that they want to be with this thing. And as time goes on, it doesn't work, right? Mm-hmm. It doesn't work. What they thought was going to work with you, it just doesn't work for them. And then there comes a process in their mind. They say, damn, how do I say this? How do I transfer this? I don't want to hurt this person because I thought this and that. And those things happen as well. A lot of women think that men get into relationships with the objective to, I'm just trying to get over on you. And I'm trying to just no, that doesn't always happen. I know a lot of different situations with men. Friends I know, they was dating some chick. It's like, yo, I like this chick. Next thing you know, the chick is arguing all day. She called him 1,000 times. There's a fight, this and that. Turns into like, okay, damn, I thought we was good. And then it changes. Think the dynamics.
All I ask is that they communicate the change. I completely acknowledge what you're saying about feelings change, people change, right? You get in something and it might be more than what you thought it was or what you could actually handle at that time. The problem comes in when they don't communicate it. When they don't say, hey.
When you say that, right? And it's a lot easier said than done, Queen. Because
I've had hard conversations. So I have left my daughter's father. Okay. I have left a 4-year relationship. So I've had hard conversations when a relationship didn't serve me. So I hear what you're saying when you say it's easier said than done, but because I've had to have those conversations, I still say it's worth it, because what do I look like 18 years later staying with my ex just because, oh, we have a kid and oh, we're together? No, I had to choose me.
I was just about to say, it's the choosing me part. I don't care if the conversation is hard, not hard. Sometimes they do, some people think I'm a bit, I don't know if the word maybe is abrasive or something, or I lack, someone even said I lack empathy. I don't think it's that, but it's like you said, I'm gonna choose me at the end
And
of the
people are
day.
used to women choosing themselves, right? They're used to us being the nurturers and we're gonna take care of everybody. We're gonna ride or die. I choose me every single
Every
day.
single time.
Every single
But
day.
if you know what's
Yeah.
crazy, it took a toxic ass relate. Sorry, I don't know if we can curse. It took a toxic relationship for me to get to this unapologetic version of me. You know, it took the, oh, I want to be like my grandmother for so many years, so I'm just gonna lay down and whatever a man do, whatever, you know, I'm just gonna take it and I'm just supposed to still look happy and smile. And then it took my daughter's father, which was the worst relationship I've ever had in my life. I always refer to that relationship as like the whole metamorphosis process of a caterpillar to a butterfly. I don't know if you guys are familiar. If you're listening, you're not. When a caterpillar goes into the cocoon, it literally liquefies itself and consumes itself. And then when it, you know, that's when it rebuilds itself to a completely new insect, which is a butterfly. And that is literally what happened to me from that relationship. And ever since then, that's when I really was like, okay, I think polyamory is for me. I'm gonna do life the way I want, and I'm going to require the things I require, and I'm gonna always pick me before, you know, of course, not before your kid or something like that, but you know, I'm just gonna always pick me, and I don't think I can change that.
But do you think that men have the same grace? You think when men make that decision that they are looked upon the same as when women make that decision?
No, they're definitely
Because
not looked upon the same.
I think in relationships, right? Most of the time when men leave a relationship or step outside or decide, men are demonized for that. Like, you know what? I'm gone. I'm not dealing with that. Boom, she got a kid. I don't care about none of that. I'm choosing me.
I don't think men
have
get
the same
a lot
grace.
of grace, period, compared to women. If I'm being technical,
it's just the truth.
I don't think men get as much grace as women at all across the board. That's just my general opinion.
I think the answer, because I agree. I think men do get demonized for choosing them, right? I definitely agree with that. But I also believe that time heals all wounds. You know, I believe that over time, the more consistent you are as a friend, as a father, as a whatever, you know, whatever the role is, that over time, people will begin to come around, everybody in a family to, of course, if you are dealing with a bitter situation, it is what it is. But if not, people will begin to come around to the idea that, you know what, now we are a new thing, new unit, or in a new space. And perhaps, and I think, you know, I don't know, my son, I don't want to speak for you, but I would assume that you're saying that if there's a man, a friend, or somebody you know that says, well, I want to be in a poly relationship, it's not that easy for a man to start that conversation, because once you do, then it's like, oh, see, all men, you know, just want to cheat and lie and just want, what is this? So I can see how it's not the easiest thing to do, but I believe, or at least it's become more apparent to me over time, that regardless of what everybody else may feel, the more honest we are, the better the results of it later. So it's either you're going to get the shit at the beginning or at the end. But there's one piece of shit that's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? And I would prefer.
Tori said, I like that. I like
that.
I would prefer the shit of working through it in the beginning, getting on the same page about what it is, so that you can have sort of like a smoother, because life is life. There's going to be ups and downs, but a smoother transition towards the end. And I do think my son is 100% right. The ways in which we have been taught, we live in a patriarchal society, that we have been taught certain things that are not good for any of us. And patriarchy does not mean just men. It means that women and men have ideals and operate within a certain particular mindset that really for us as Black people wasn't even established by us. It was established by white folks and the ways in which they see the world. And we have operated in that and have perpetuated the patriarchy against one another and in our internal relationships. So perhaps monogamy is not natural, if you will. I don't think it's not just natural for men. I think it may not be natural for humans in general, but the end result for me comes down, and the reason why I am very concerned about the idea of even saying, oh, I'm in a relationship and a marriage and all of that is because the lack of honesty that we all have, the natural instinct to lie in order to try to get around dealing with facing whatever our truth is head on. It's dangerous. It scares me on the down low with men who are unwilling to say, I am who I am. And I think, and as I'm thinking about it and it's coming to me, this is also a problem in that area. Because the same rules apply that people who are gay or feel like they may be trans or whatever are unable to communicate their truth, because once they say who they are to the world, they become demonized, they become looked at funny, they they're called names, they don't feel comfortable. So therefore they lie their way through, some of them, and it ends up harming people and tearing down families. So for me, I just want the part, for me in my life, I just want to try to figure out, how do we start to make it more normal for people to tell their truth?
I agree.
Well,
I think it starts with conversations like these, for sure.
Conversations like these. And withholding your judgment, because Tori's happy. It's the people outside who have something to say about Tori's lifestyle, right? So reframing our judgment, because it's like the old school. If you like it, I love it. If that works for you, I'm rooting for you. Send me an invitation to the baby shower, because it's your life. It's not my place to put myself in there. I'm gonna rock with how I'm rocking over here, but you do you. And I don't think that a lot of people take that mindset. There's so much like, oh, well, what's Tamika doing? What's her situation over there? What my son's, you're in everybody else's business.
Exactly. Thank you, social media.
And the reality of it is that people base their life based on other people's opinions, right?
Yeah.
So it's hard. It's not just.
That was you got one.
And that's why we live, because more often than not, right? There are men, there are women that are living in polyamorous relationships that they know it is, and they're operating in that same space already, right? But the fact that
you might have touched the nerve with that. You might have touched
the nerve.
Saying?
And the fact that they acknowledge it and let one of their girlfriends who might say, "Oh, you stupid girl," and that's the same girl that's telling you that her man is out here fucking everybody, and she know it, and she ain't trying to leave.
And that's not poly, is it?
No, but
that's just cheating.
But I'm saying, I understand it's not under the same guise as poly, but the reality of the situation is she is 100% aware that her husband is having extramarital relationships outside of their home, and she's comfortable with that. Will come to you and tell you that you stupid if you deal with a polyamorous, or your husband, oh, my man would never be able to say that, but you know that he got 5 or 6 chicks that he see from here and there, and he come home to you, and they're of no benefit to you. None of these chicks are of any benefit to you. So it just, what I'm trying to say is these things been happening. Like I forgot, it's this lady that's online, and I think she's like an older, I don't know where she comes from, but it's a Black lady, and she was talking about it. And she was talking about relationships. She said, these things been happening. It ain't for me to tell a Black man not to do it or not. I'm just telling you that they're happening. Now, whether you deal with it or not is on you. I'm just telling you exactly what's going on. And I think that's the space where it is for me. It's like, I know I be having conversations with dudes, and I be watching dudes, and I'm not saying nothing, but I've watched dudes' wives that I know is out here cheating, talk about how my man will never be able to do this to me. And I swear, I don't know what y'all be dealing with. And I just be sitting there to myself like, this is not even a realistic conversation. You don't even know who you sleep with every night. You don't, but you passing judgment on somebody else, and it's just not realistic.
I think that's another thing we also have to start doing too, is like, how do we get to a point where, because we now are losing babies because they can't handle someone else talking about them or saying something negative about them. And, you know, we got kids committing suicide and all of these things. And it's like, how do we get to the point where, like she just mentioned that I was asked before I came on here, are you comfortable talking about? I don't care. Yes, I don't care where I'm at. I already know there's judgment. I already know what people are going to say. But, you know, like Tetra said, I'm happy with who I am in my lifestyle, and there's nothing that nobody can say, you know, to me personally to make me feel any differently. But like, how do we get to that point though, to where everybody is like that, or more of us are like that? Because I wasn't even like this until that toxic relationship, until I was done and just threw my flag up of living my life exactly how everybody told me I was supposed to live, exactly by the book. I wasn't happy until I decided to just get rid of all that and say, you know what, I'm going to have my walk with God. I'm going to live my life the way that I want to live it and be happy, and nothing that nobody can say can affect me. How do we migrate to that more though? I think that's one of the bigger problems.
It is.
Well, we need a part two. We need a part two. Go ahead,
we need
Mike.
a part 2 and 3. But I want to say one thing. When I look at the scrutiny that Will and Jada get, right, from whatever the dynamics is of their relationship.
Yeah.
It's so weird to me that you look at the level of success that they've had together, the way that they communicate, the way they've raised their kids, the way that they've been able to move, and the understanding that they've had. And people outside who haven't been able to accomplish half, 1/3 of what they have, can sit there and pass judgment on something that they're doing. Like Will said, one of the realest thing, he said, we're having an experiment on relationship that the average person needs to have, but they don't even know how to get there. This is a experience. This is a reality of a relationship.
It won't look right to everybody else.
Not. But she said we're really just trying to they're figuring it out as they grow. As I grow into an individual, he's going to his wife and saying, hey, babe, this is who I'm becoming. And as she grows into an individual, she's coming to her husband and saying, you know what, and they're trying to find the balance in that by still loving and supporting each other and raising their kids. Like, it's a dynamic that's not been seen. And because we've been taught that it's not natural, or it's not right, that it's something wrong with it. And for me, it's just like, I don't want to live my life based on somebody else's perception of how I should live.
But you know, Jada and Will are friends, and I talk to Jada often. I would say, to your earlier point, it doesn't just, I'm sure, right? And I know it's okay for me to say, it hasn't always just been, you come and communicate to me and I come and communicate. They have gone through some situations and circumstances where, to come out of it, they had to be honest about where they are and figure out, what does the relationship look like going forward? Because it's no longer this. It now has evolved into this other thing in this other space. And again, I think I just don't know that people have practiced honesty enough to be able to accomplish that. I think that the fear of what the other person might say or do gets in the way of folks being able to just say, listen, you know what, I decided, you know, that I'm not in a space for just being in a relationship in this moment with one person. But here's the problem that I know, or at least that I feel, is when a man says that, the idea that he may have to deal with a woman who returns that, okay, and I also may sleep with outside people, becomes oh no,
That
we can't.
part.
Oh,
Yep.
I can't.
That is a thing.
It might be a thing, right? But
that is the thing.
But Tori can tell us, because
No, it
Tori,
might be a
you're
thing.
in
Yeah, Tori, and look, wait, LaToya hasn't been in the conversation. So she's going, yeah. So maybe she's got an opinion on this.
You know, it's the lack of honesty and transparency for me. I do feel like a lot of relationships fail because people don't feel like they can be honest with their desires, right? So if you're not honest with, you know what, I like my nipple to be rubbed 10 times a day, then you're going to feel like, you know what, I need to go outside and get that fulfilled, right? So when you approach a new person, you have to just, it doesn't matter if I'm gonna hurt you, I'm gonna hurt you. You're either gonna take it, you're either gonna work for me, or it's not gonna work at all. But give me the opportunity. Tell me what it is that you like and dislike, so I can tell you this ain't gonna work. I'm not here for that. And then we can just move and go on our separate ways. But also, I think that people should have the flexibility to change their minds. I think that as you grow older, you change, or you evolve, and maybe you didn't like your nipples to be rubbed 10 years ago, but you know what, today, this is what I want. Can you deliver, yes or no? And if you cannot, are you okay? I love you. I love you. I love our foundation. I love what we have. But if you can't fulfill this area, are you okay with me going out and getting it fulfilled? Because that is what I desire. That's what's going to make me happy. That's
the real shit ever.
That's it.
And what it is for me is like, and when I'm thinking about this, right, there are a lot of women, right, that say they be in their relationships and they are scared to tell their partners about things they want sexually, right? For a man, that is the same way, and I want to give you the comparison, right? The comparison is the same way a man is scared to tell his woman that he might want to be with another woman, right? And y'all say, just be honest. You know, why don't you just be honest and say this? The same reason that women are in relationships that are not sexually satisfied and not telling the man that you're not doing this right and I want this done this way. And they go through years and years of doing that. It's the same mentality. So when you look at us and say, why don't you just say, yo, I want to do this and that? Why don't you just be honest? You're a man. Well, why don't you tell that man that he ain't hitting the spot, that you want it done this way and you want it done that way? Why you don't have that same energy that you have for us to be honest on that side? And women all the time saying, yo, we just don't know how to say it. We don't want to say it. We just feel embarrassed. The same way we feel when we want to come to you and say, yo, you know what? We might want to change the dynamics of this relationship.
I think you have to say it like, this is what I like. This is what I like. This is what I want to try. This would make me happy. And maybe it would soften the approach versus you're not doing a good job. Yeah. You're not hitting the spot. Like you're going to bruise an ego. You're going to hurt a feeling. You're not here to hurt anyone's feelings. You're here to satisfy your desires. You're here to find someone that can complement the things that you like, that you want, that is also here to make you happy. So your conversational approach should be based on, this is what I desire. Can you fulfill that? Yes or no?
Yeah.
There's no gray area.
That's the way we're going to end this. We got to have a part 2 of this. We supposed to end this like 30 minutes ago, but it was such a good conversation. I'm glad that you came back up here, LaToya, to give that, because that right there summed it up so well for me. It's evolution and understanding that everyone is going to grow and change and want different things. And relationships, and for me, I tell people all the time that relationships are the only thing that people want you to do for the rest of your life. There's nothing else that you're supposed to do for the rest of your life with one, nothing else in the world. So there has to be a level of grace that's like nothing else. You know, it has to be a reality. So I want to thank you women for coming on. You beautiful melanated queens with different perspectives and ideologies, but you are all beautiful in your own rank. And I love the confidence that you all exude. You know, it's beautiful for me. So, you know, I appreciate this dialogue and being able to get my little point of views, and y'all shut me down here and there, but I appreciate it. Definitely appreciate it.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Nice meeting everyone.
Great. It was nice seeing you all.
Thank you so much, ladies. LaToya, we have to have you back because you didn't get to be with us the entire time.
I had so many things to say about
Yeah,
this.
no,
He was asking me about my panty colors last night. I was like, what?
Listen, we're doing a part
Lord
2.
have mercy.
We're definitely
Yeah, we got to get
doing
into
a
the
part
online.
2. Absolutely. Maybe it'll actually be next week. And we need to throw a guy or two into the subject.
Yeah, how about
Oh,
that?
y'all need to throw my partner in. He got a lot to say. He couldn't.
Let's
come
do
on.
it. Let's do it. Thank y'all so much.
All right.
Appreciate
Bye-bye, y'all.
Bye, everybody.
So we have to do part 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6 of this show.
Good conversation, man. It's dialogue that needs to be had. It's actually, thought processes that are happening every day. It's reality that's happening every day, and people don't want to have these conversations because it's kind of like taboo, to talk about it.
Yeah, it's taboo, and I get it, but I think that it's not as taboo as people make it. I really don't. I think we're living in a time where it could be much easier than people are ready for. I think men are actually not as prepared as you all some men, excuse me, are not as prepared as you all think for how more progressive women are. I think we just, at this point in our lives, we just don't want to be lied to. We want to have equal rights, if you will. And we also want to be respected all around, right? In other ways and I think it's so much emphasis put on people having sex with other people that it gets in the way of being able to have just, conversations and deal with like working through problems in a relationship that might not just be about infidelity. That's my opinion.
I don't get it. I just don't, what I don't get? And I was just sitting there thinking, I don't get why relationship communications is so hard. Like but they are. Like you just said, we men don't realize how progressive women are. But when you have these conversations, because I have conversations with women all the time that seem to be progressive and talk, and the pushback from you saying a sense of reality is so thick. It's so, and I'm a confident man.
That's not true. I hear you.
It's not really
you have conversations with me. You have conversations
and y'all
with
can't
women
stand
in
the conversation. Y'all be ready to fight.
No, but that is not accurate.
It's
and
not
I think
accurate.
the problem
Y'all
is that
somebody when they tell you about the realities of men.
no, it's not about the realities of relationships. Well, okay, let me zoom out. The zoom out is that you may be 100% right, that we're triggered by certain things, right? Because the reality is that we all have been taught things that stick with us, right? So we've been taught that a man that's out there sleeping with or, having certain types of relationships with other women is threatening and whatever. We've all been taught certain things. Your man don't have no respect for you if he's doing XYZ thing. But I think that in most conversations and situations that I have either been a part of when we all have been debating and or conversations that I have with other people that run much deeper and different, right? It's the lie. It's the lie. When I'm talking to women, oftentimes, because let me tell you something, the thing I realize is that the men who have been honest, it might be, again, difficult. It might be a struggle to get through whatever, but after a while, everybody falls in place. Everybody falls in place.
I think that's a process, right? It's like this. It's like going through prison. 10 years, right? Before you go to prison, right? And you like, yo, niggas don't want to go to jail. Nobody wants to go to jail. But right, when you live a certain life and you do certain shit, and jail comes, you know you got to deal with it, right? You know, fuck it, I got to deal. And after you get through the prison sentence, you like, you know what? It was tough. I did my thing. I learned from it. It made me into a better person. And you come out with a different sense of understanding. I think that's the same thing when it comes to relationships, and especially in regard to men being honest about certain shit with women, right? Because what happens is you meet women under a certain pretense, right? A certain pretense. And then even when you meet women under a certain pretense, you can meet a woman and say, yo, you know, we just dating. I ain't really trying to do nothing serious. And the woman changed the dynamic of that. Well, okay, we cool, yeah, let's hang out. And after 2 or 3 months, we good, we having a good time. So you know what? I'm trying to be serious. I'm looking for a husband now. Now you like the woman. You like dating her. You like all the shit that come with it. So now you forced into giving her either saying, all right, I want to try this. Then once you say that and you don't do it, you're a liar. So so this is what I'm trying to tell you. So you
are a liar.
So
That's
but I understand what you're saying, right? But men are, it's like a quagmire. It's like the person that works at a job and they say, yo, you either got to get the vaccine or you don't, or you got to lose your job. I don't want to lose my job, right? Fuck, I don't want to, but I don't really want to get the vaccine either, right? So you're trying to move all around. You got niggas lying, say you got Brett Favre saying, A-Rod saying, yeah, I had the vaccine because he didn't want to be perceived a certain way, but he didn't want to get the vaccine. And he wanted to keep his job and he wanted to keep faith with everybody else, right? It's not as easy as everybody makes it seem. It's like, oh, well, fuck it. You don't want to get the vaccine. You just lose the job. You can work somewhere else. No, and I get it. And you're like, I done did all this stuff to get this job. I done went to school for 4-8 years. I did all this shit. And I got this job. And now the requirement is now you got to get a vaccine, right? We've been dating. We did all this shit. Now you're like, you know what? Either we're going to get married or I'm gonna move on. Or either you're going to be with this and that. It's not as simple as you make it.
I know that it may not be, but I think that if we want to solve for X, which is the divorce rates and the destruction of the Black community, then we've got to start somewhere. And at the end of the day, we cannot have relationships that are rooted in people being dishonest in order to keep it going as it is.
Can I ask you a question? Do you think it's dishonest, right? That if you meet a man, you know that you ultimately want to get married, right? But you don't tell a man that. He tell you, look, I ain't really trying to get married, none of that shit, I'm just dating. And you're like, all right, cool, we just dating. And 6 or 8 months down the line, you done dated, you're having the best relationship. If you done lured him in and you already said you was cool, whatever he was, and then after 8 months, you decide to say, you know what? I think I want to be married. If you don't want to get married, it's cool, but
no, that's not being a liar. I'm going to tell you why.
It's not.
I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you what the lie is. I'm going to explain it to you. Okay. The lie is in that you said you didn't want to get married, which generally doesn't happen. Most women, they come and say, I would like to get married, but if you don't want to, that's okay. That's not going to stop me from being in this relationship. Okay. So the man knows in the back of his mind, she would want to.
But
listen, I'm not trying, just let me finish. He knows in the back of his mind, she would want to, but she says she doesn't, she knows that I'm adamantly against it. Okay. Then 6 months into the relationship, what would be a lie is if she goes and gets married outside the relationship to somebody else and is playing games with you, using the man for his house, his car, his money, his time, his sex, his whatever, and not telling him that she actually either has a husband or another relationship that she's in with somebody that does want to get married. The honest thing to do is to say at the 6 month point, when you feel like I need to get married, is to come and say, hey, I have had a change of heart. I know I said when we started this that I did not want to get married or that I was okay with us not being married, but that has now changed for me. Are you in the same space? Because if not, I am going to start the process of finding who is for me in this new phase of my life. But it is not okay for her to go out behind his back, because guess what? He may have decided in the last 6 months that I would like to marry you, or I'm open to it now. Now we can start building our credit together and thinking of things that we need to do to get ready for the proper marriage. But it's not okay for me to go and start something else and not give the person that I'm with the opportunity to understand things have changed with me. So that's what I'm talking about, the lie. It's the deceit. It's the deceit.
But listen, this is what I'm trying to say.
I don't know how you got to come back to that.
Because what I'm trying to tell you is you just brought a whole nother scenario into something that I wasn't even.
No. Excuse me. I didn't
created a whole scenario.
Excuse me. I did not create a scenario about anything. Excuse me. I responded to a scenario that was created for me. I didn't bring up, I don't want to get married,
so you trying to
I want to get married. So you said that.
Like, okay, so you act like, you know how that's not a similar situation, is because it's not like a man is dating you and say he don't want to get married, he's going to marry somebody else and then say, oh, I changed.
Oh, excuse me.
Like,
that is not true.
That's not the same
there
thing.
Are many bums out here who are in one relationship with a whole other wife and children across town or in another state. They have it on the Lifetime movies every damn night. What I'm saying, my son.
That's not the scenario I was talking about.
But you said, is it a lie when somebody says when they get with you, they don't want to get married, knowing good and well they actually do. And then they lure you in and they do all the things, and then all of a sudden they change. And what I'm saying to you is that what the problem with that scenario is, that for the most part, very similar to what you have said, it's more than likely not that they're trying to lure you in. It's that in the beginning, it seems feasible, right? It seems, when you first meet a woman, a man look at you,
but that's what I'm trying to say. That's what I want to say. It's the same thing.
Just hear me out. Hear me out. Because I'm going with your example, so we can be on the same page.
Okay.
When a man first meets a woman, it's year 1, year 2, whatever. Y'all are hanging, doing, going, feeling each other. It's all good. She ain't got as many expectations, problems, arguments, this, that, all of that. I get it. It's different. It's just new. It's fresh. It's like the new pair of shoes. It's the whole thing. You stunt and you fly. It's amazing, right? Over time, you say, damn, I love her. And I really was considering that this could be somebody that I don't want to sleep with nobody else, because she got the good this and the good that and the good gush. She's all that. Okay. So I'm feeling it. But as time goes on, people get older, things change, your body change, this happens, that happens, all kinds of things happen. And then you start saying the urge to go out and have some of the other things that you've learned about yourself. LaToya says the nipple rubbing, the whole thing or whatever, it may change. What I'm saying is that even if you go back to that person at that moment and say to them, hey, I've changed, like you said, lure them in or whatever. I now want my nipples rubbed. I want this, I want that. I don't think that's a lie. I don't think it's a lie. I think that is, I grew or I learned or I figured out or whatever. And now I want to do something different. I'm saying the lie is to go get your nipple rubbed by Lisa or Mark, and not tell Lori, who you actually are with, that I need Lisa now to rub my nipple. That's what I'm talking about. That's the lie.
But I'm not saying, we've already acknowledged that part, right? The part of when you get in a relationship and you go cheat on the person outside, we've already acknowledged that is the lie, right? I'm talking about the content of the relationships, right? How people enter into relationships. I'm not talking about how when it gets to a place and it evolves, right? I'm talking about how people come into the relationship. Like women are saying, men come into a relationship lying, no, they don't have any real expectations of shit, right? And women come into the relationship with the same thing. They lie and act like they don't have expectations. Well, they do. So everybody is trying to trick somebody, right? Everybody likes the person. You like, damn, I like this dude. And I know if I say that I want to get married, it might scare him away. So I'm gonna play along with him, hoping that, you know, eventually he'll want to get married on his own. When he doesn't want to get married on his own, then I'm gonna say, fuck it, I'm gonna try to maybe do something else, right? And I might still want to keep him and start dating. See if I see a better deal on a nigga trying to get married, I might go get married. That might be the mentality that women have. So what I'm trying to say is, men get in a relationship saying, I don't want to get married, and the woman says, yo, you know, I'm trying to get married at a certain amount of time. Right. And then niggas like, that's not really what I want to do, but I'm gonna tell her that's what I want to do. I want this relationship to become monogamous. Yeah, I know we was just dating and it was cool before and all the rest of shit. I didn't care if you were seeing it, but now I care a lot. I'm caring now. Right. So the dynamics change. You don't want to lose that person.
I don't think that's a lie. That's what all I'm saying is if we go
but
back,
if you enter in the relationship already.
But if we go back to the premise, no, because even you have said that in our lives, the things I did when I was 16 don't work for me at 23, right?
That's a fact.
So the only thing I'm responsible for, my son, is being honest that something has changed in me. That's it.
But I'm not
saying what I'm saying is that the reason why we have such a breakdown is because of exactly what Tera was saying, the lack of communication. People do not communicate their truth. I'm not saying that it's not on both sides. Okay. I'm just saying that you don't necessarily know when you start something, how you're going to be in the middle and in the possible end or later on. We don't know, right? We learn as we go. And I'm only suggesting that most times because of some men, have in their minds the preconceived notions of what they have experienced, right? So they know if you tell this woman this or that and the third, it could turn into this and that and the third. But I'm just I'm saying to you that more women are, what's the word? More women are progressive in their mindset than they're being given credit for, but they're not dealing with honest people. And what is very unfortunate is that a lot of our men will not even admit to the fact that they just start off lying. A lot of men.
But that's what I'm trying to say. But what you just said is the whole premise of what I was saying to you, right? A lot of because you come from a perspective where a lot of men start off lying. You're not saying that not a woman start off lying. A lot of women come into a situation knowing that they want more from a man than they actually are getting, and they're willing to play a role to try to lure that man to get to what they want. That's a lie to me.
But but my son, that's life.
But
you
that's
start
what
a job,
doing.
My son, listen, you start a job, right, as a cashier.
Yeah.
You're not coming to the job as a cashier to stay in a cashier's rate forever. You're coming to the job saying, I'm gonna be the best cashier I can be because eventually I want to get on the floor. And after that, I want to become a manager. And after manager, I want to become the regional manager. And then I want to go to the corporate office. But what I'm saying is,
but you can't
tell you when they tell you. But listen. They might tell you the only position we have available for you is cashier. And you know what you do? You go there and you say, okay, no problem. I'm going here and I'm gonna focus on being a cashier. But you hope that they will notice and say, I can make a new position for this great cashier that we had. That's not a lie. That's aspiration. That's aspiration. I'm not sure how you can compare somebody that in your face is working at becoming better so that they can be moved up in the ladder in your life to somebody that because of whatever never tells you, but goes around your back and
But that's
starts
not
a
what we're
relationship
saying,
with
though.
another
That's
person.
That's not
What
what
are you talking about?
because you keep talking about the cheating part. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about the dynamic of going into a relationship. I'm not talking about cheating. I'm talking about if you enter into a relationship, right? It's just like,
For me.
so what I'm trying to tell you is, if the cashier, right, is a nigga that's dating outside, you just dating a nigga, y'all having a good time. You don't know what he do on Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. You might see him Tuesdays and Mondays, right? The dynamics, him hanging with you on Tuesdays and Mondays, say, look, I'm not trying to really be in a relationship. I like you, we cool. And you're like, all right, cool, I'm good with that. We start dating.
I was good with that.
Okay, so listen to what I'm saying. You was good with that. You dating. He ain't lied to you. He told you. So when you come and you decide to change the dynamics because it changed for you, or if you already had it, or you thought you had aspirations like, look, I'm just gonna play this role because eventually, nigga, he gonna be with me because I know it. And I'm gonna show him that I'm worthy of getting it.
That's
Right?
You know what that is? You know what that is? You know what that is? This is what I'm saying to you. Not enough people take responsibility for self, right? When we're having conversations, our conversations is always based upon somebody else's whatever, which makes us be and do. At the point that a person communicates to you that I need more, or I want something different, you then have the ability to walk away. This is the problem.
No, but that's
up to you at that point to say, that is not what I want. And therefore, I am exiting the building. Because guess what I'm doing? I am communicating that things have changed for me. I'm telling you, I now want to get married. I now want to have a baby. I now want to be in a committed relationship. I now don't want to be sleeping with everybody. I'm saying that I am communicating the changes within me.
But what I'm trying to tell you is, when you communicate the changes within you, after you've already created a level of stability in life with an individual, it's a lot harder. It's way harder for that individual to just say, you know what, I understand those changes, but I'm not going to do it. But I hear what you said.
Life is hard.
But I hear you. But what I'm trying to tell you is just like the vaccine. A nigga done worked 4 years and he gets, I get it. But you don't learn that. You know what you don't learn? Just like you said, a lot of men don't know that until they actually go through it. And you realize that I'd rather be the nigga that the chick is mad because she didn't do this, or I didn't do it, and I was honest with her, than being the nigga that she said lied to her. And then you start to get to that point, and then you can relay that message, because that's not the message that's been relayed.
And that's why I think that the whole point of this episode and the series that we're focused on, we need to delve into that, because the truth of the matter is that we have to take responsibility no matter how hard things are. And just because something is hard does not mean that we get to lie. We have to be honest with ourselves and the people around us about what it is that we feel. That's it. And that doesn't stand for, it's not Larry's job to be honest. It's not so. It's the people that's in a relationship. It's their job to be honest with one another. And I think you're right. We do, as women, debate and switch. That's what you're talking about. Baiting a man in and then switching to something different at a later time. But but I think that to assume that anyone is going to stay stagnant in the same place forever is foolish. Just like some men will say it's foolish to believe that a man is only going to be interested in one woman for the rest of his life, right? He's going to see other things. He's going to get excited by others. And there will be times when he's not necessarily excited by you. Of course, you pass by one day, he get the whiff of the smell and be like, damn, I love my friend, partner, wife, husband, whatever it is. But I'm just saying that no matter how difficult it is, I don't think that people should stay in one place. I think everybody has the right to say, what I was at 18, I'm not anymore at 25. And now, therefore, I'm communicating that there are changes that have been made.
No, but I'm just trying to say, I hear what you're saying, but it's just when you do that to a man or when you do that to anybody, it's not easy it's like you create a whole family with a person. You got kids, you got bank accounts. You say, you know what? I don't really want to be married no more. So
Now,
you need to figure out what you're going to do. You need to figure out what you're going to do. You need to figure out what you're going to do because all this shit that we don't, y'all figure out what you're going to do. It changed for me. If you're in a relationship with somebody in 6 or 7 months, y'all done built some shit, y'all got a rhythm, y'all got all this shit going, and it's like, damn, this is on a trajectory. I don't know about marriage. I don't even know if I want to do that, but I know I like this person. Damn, but I don't want to end it before I even see if I can get to that place with this person. So what the fuck do I do? Is this quagmire?
I just don't think that, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think that people just be changing in 6 months. That's not been my experience. It usually takes time. And after a while, woman starts to put her foot down and say, okay, we've done this already for a certain amount of years. Now I want to move on to something different. But I understand from your perspective that you're saying women are luring men in. They, being monogamous with one person the whole time is not necessarily natural. It's something that can be learned behavior, but it's not natural. It's this, it's that. All the things that I hear you saying, it means somebody like me, and it's the reason why I see so many Black women that are single. Not only are they single, many of them are now comfortably single. We have just decided that this is where we are. Because if you can't even look at somebody and say, I'm growing and I need these new things, and then that person be honest and communicate back with you, or you can't even look for somebody not to go behind your back and do whatever they're doing, what the hell is the point?
I'm not saying you can't do that. I'm just saying what happens is it becomes a lot more difficult situation. I'm not saying that you shouldn't expect honesty, you shouldn't expect reality and a level of transparency and communication. It just is a lot more difficult, and a lot of men don't want to deal with that difficulty. And we have to learn how to do it. You're right. It's a process. It's the way we wired is different. We don't want to disappoint, especially people that we care about, people that we love. And so a lot of times when your mind state or your ideology changes and you understand that it's going to affect the partner that you believed in you and has put so much shit around you, when that changes, it's not easy to just say that mind state changes. But women are saying it, and then when you actually start being honest with the woman, they say you don't give a fuck about it. Oh, you don't really care. I've seen it. Now you just say anything to me. You don't even care how I feel. And it changed. It's just there's so many things and less grace that men have to deal with, and I understand that women have to deal with it too. So
I agree.
We can talk this conversation forever.
We could all day, and I agree with you. I do. I agree. I think the advice that I have to give myself and all of us is that once the conversation is happening because of some drama, it's not going to work out the way we want it to. So in other words, we have to figure out ways to have conversations about things in a different setting. And that's been, we usually have all of our dialogue as humans with difficult conversations. The
hard conversations
in conflict.
In a conflict.
It's in conflict. And that's what we got to try to figure out. So that's it.
And that's it. Another dope show. We got to get part 2 and 3. We got to bring some more brothers on. The sister said she's going to bring her partner. I got a couple of dudes I know could come on and have some, perspectives on this, just different perspectives. But I think it's a dope topic. Once again, we're the number one podcast in the world, Street Politicians. If you got any ideas, send them to us at Street Politicians on Instagram. DM us your ideas. Tell us you love us. Tell us you hate us. Anything you want. If you have brands, please tell us. Make sure you got a real brand. You got a real company or organism, some shit that we can really send you some. We don't want, your homeboys on the corner in his Cash App. We don't want that. You know what I'm saying? We want a real business. Hit us up so we can promote your small business on our platform. And once again, man, I'm not gonna always be right. Tamika's not gonna always be wrong, what she is most of the time. I said it again, most of the time. But we will both always, and I mean always, be authentic.
Yeah, peace, y'all.
Listen to Street Politicians on the Black Effect Network on iHeartRadio.
And catch us every single Wednesday for the video version of Street Politicians on iWomen.tv.